Welcome to the Asset Talk on ESG and Trade Finance, produced in association with DBS as part of the DBS ESG Leadership Series. We're delighted to have with us Mark Trotman, Managing Director, Group Head of Sales, Global Transaction Services at DBS. Also with us is Sriram Muthukrishnan, Managing Director, Group Head of Trade Product Management at DBS. Today's topic on the Asset Talk is on deploying digitization to overcome challenges and build sustainability. When you speak to clients and corporates, what are some of the challenges that they face, especially in light of what Sriram shared with us, some of the initiatives, some of the techniques, some of the technology that's being applied? What do they say to you? What are the challenges to be much more ESG compliant?
It's diverse, as you'd expect. Not only the complexity of the bigger companies' operating environments, different countries, different standards, different issues, and you use the rubber industry and going right down to the tappers of the rubber trees, and where the trees put onto plantations that were cleared in an illegal way. Are the families of the tappers being is there labor exploitation, or is there are the communities having the proper kind of environmental standards applied to the living conditions? It could be that's a very different example than let's say taking cotton and manufacturing apparel and putting together clothing in Bangladesh or Turkey or somewhere else. So it's the different jurisdictions, the globality of some of these sourcing operations, the fact that there's no market standard yet for what sustainable trade financing looks like, because the industries are just so different and the issues are just so different, and the availability of the technology, which is dramatically moving us forward, doesn't exist everywhere as yet. And in many of these cases, it's NGOs, very localized NGOs, that are helping put together the solutions, and so they're not global in their own right, and therefore the companies end up finding they have to work with different ones in slightly different ways to achieve a strong outcome. It's not to say that the companies don't have a strong desire to do that. It's just that to put these programs in place, it's just that there's a lot of nuance, and if it was easy, it would have been done a long time ago. So I think that's the challenge of the future here for us.
One of the biggest problems that we have in promoting ESG metrics and trade financing is that many supply chains are extremely fragmented. And it is not a single tier. There are multiple layers of suppliers who feed into each other, and finally the end product is manufactured. And what we've seen is that many of the really large corporates, the brand owners, for example, they don't have much visibility beyond the first or the maximum the second tier of suppliers. So here is where, for example, technology comes in. Last year we did a multi-tier supply chain financing solution on a logistics platform called Rongilian, and where for the first time we were able to do in China a multi-tier supply chain financing program, whereby the corporate was able to get all these various tiers of suppliers onto a single platform. And thereafter, you start having greater visibility of who your multiple tiers of suppliers are, what is their input into your process, and thereafter you can start tracking and tracing what they are doing right or wrong, and how do we incentivize them. So that was one example of where digitization is helping us. The other example which we talked about was in the area of being able to audit. If you have multiple layers of producers, for example, the Bangladesh example, if your suppliers, multiple contractors and fabricators sitting in Bangladesh, and they're producing your garment, it is very difficult unless they are on some kind of platform where this kind of auditable, audited data can be input on a regular basis. That is easier said than done, because in some places they're so in such far-flung areas. There are some of the large brand owners have thousands of suppliers, and not everybody is amenable to providing that kind of data or getting audited. In some cases, business requirements are such that they need to prioritize getting the supplier to just produce the goods. And then, how do you incentivize them to also do the ancillary bit of providing the data on how they're managing their supply chain? So these are some of the real world problems that come to life when you actually go into it. But where there's a will, there's a way. So some of the really large corporates have shown that they can actually incentivize and sometimes do a little bit of a gentle nudge to the supply chain to come onto a common platform, to come on to adopt common metrics, and then we see that actually it works very well. In fact, once they move that on, the corporates have found that it actually helps them grow their business, because the new age consumers are looking for this kind of assurance that the goods that they're consuming are environmentally sustainable, are socially sustainable. So I think it eventually works to their benefit, but initial getting people off, the inertia is very strong. So that is why it takes a bit of time.